Well, greetings everyone, and welcome once again to the Sports Krib right here every Wednesday night uh, to entertain and inform. Uh, let's get our little commercial stuff out of the way. You can see on the bottom uh, where our subscribe and donate is here right here on YouTube as well as LinkedIn. Uh, $sign JEK3, and all things will go to help support the Sports Krib. And for those of you that are in the Sports Krib League, it is that time of year again. We will be presenting the gold T-shirt to the winner of the Sports Krib Fantasy League. So, I see Reggie is down here in the queue. Hopefully, some of the other guys will be coming in soon, but it is a pleasure to have Reggie here on a Wednesday.
What is going on, my friend? Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've done our Wednesday show here.
Yeah, so how are things down there in Atlanta? I know the weather's crazy and all over, so how are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Hectic seismic event today with the cousin situation. That's kind of the talk of the town down here right now. But besides that, man, can't complain. Always great. Always happy to be on, man.
All right, man. Well, there's a couple things that came up this week, and it's surprising how sometimes we talk about things here on the Sports Crib, and then all of a sudden we see wonders of wonders. It appears in the national headlines. Hey,
Right.
oh, we have to welcome Don back. Don has been down with pneumonia.
What's going on, Don?
What's up, guys?
Yeah,
Nice.
I just between Don and Dave being down, I immediately went to the VA and got my pneumonia shot. So so yeah, so yeah. I mean, I got a few years on both of them, so I'm not playing Russian roulette here.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
So, welcome back, Don. How is the weather down there in Texas?
Well, today the high was 77,
Nice, man.
and
Nice.
tomorrow the high is supposed to be 60.
Well, yeah, it's not quite as nice as the 77.
Yeah, so we have a cold front coming in tonight, and it's gonna knock it down to the high 30s for the low, and then
Yikes.
about 60 for the high.
No wonder you have pneumonia, Don. I mean,
Yeah, it's quite up and down.
you got shorts one day, you got on a triple goose, 2 days later. What
Yep.
what?
Weather
So,
changes a bit.
so anyway, guys, as I was just saying, it's funny how we talk about things on the Sports Crib, and then all of a sudden, these things are making headlines. And I want to refer to a conversation we had about pitchers and pitching in Major League Baseball. And we were talking about, young kids, already having Tommy John surgery, so forth and so on. Well, Major League Baseball has come out with a study, and now they're saying that these pitching injuries are a result of increased velocity and other stuff.
Stuff, huh?
Stuff. That's
Is that a scientific study there? Is that how they do that?
Well, the other stuff includes, like having, not major Tommy John, but maybe, something else. Maybe
Like another ailment of some sort, like
right,
another.
right.
Okay, okay, got it.
Maybe a different type of inflammation of the elbow. Maybe he's trying to throw a different pitch than what his arm is accustomed to. Now with all the analytics, you got arm angle and top of the release and all. What's your thoughts on this, Reggie? You're a baseball guy. I mean,
I mean, I think it's kind of interesting because a lot of people felt like it was because of the pitch clock, and I heard a lot of that. I heard of a lot of, me personally, I think it's just due to velocity and how much faster people are throwing pitches much earlier in their life. Like, by the time you're getting to a certain age these days, these guys are throwing pretty hard. So it wouldn't be strange to me if you could attribute it to that. But I do think that we've had the pitch clock now for 1-2 seasons. It's been a very short amount of time, right?
Right.
So we would need more time, in my opinion, another year or two to study like really effects. I don't know if we've even had enough time to study the actual effects. A couple seasons seems pretty small to see if it's just a pitch clock, but the velocity and them pitching so early in life, I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. Don, what do you think? I mean, back in the day, you might have had, one or two guys that were throwing the ball 100 miles an hour. Now you might have one or two guys on every pitching staff, or at least every major, pitching staff. What's your thoughts on this, Don?
Well, I think training. I think the performance of the pitchers and special weight training conditioning, they haven't. I don't think the performance has caught up just yet because. Like someone talk about the velocity of the ball. I think pitchers are actually getting more pitches per game because of the pitch clock, and so I think it's a perfect storm of a lot of issues. I think that the wear and tear on your shoulder and your elbow is getting more pronounced, and I don't think that the conditioning has caught up to that just yet. It may never, because I mean the human body has limits to its endurance.
Yeah.
And you say, well, he's a pitcher. Well, you're throwing. I mean, you're throwing 99 to 102. And you're doing that for 6-7 innings. It's crazy.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think what you might start seeing like reduced pitch count. I don't know. Maybe these teams need to increase their rosters and include 2-3 extra relief pitchers. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but I think there's some things that the league can do to address it.
But Don, you already have, for the most part, where you used to have a starter and reliever. Mm-hmm. Now you have what they call middle relief pitcher.
The middle reliever, yeah.
Yeah. So, my brother's father-in-law made a career of being a middle reliever. So
very nice.
Did for 14 seasons. So, I mean, like I said, you have your 3-man rotation, and then you have, the short relief, long relief. I mean, it's crazy.
What do you think, Reg?
I mean, I think that what Don's actually suggested doesn't sound too bad, and I feel like a lot of teams might make roster adjustments to adjust to the pitch clock if they continue to see stuff like this. So I think we get the pitch clock again, we'll get more data on it, and I do think we will see some teams adjust. I think that's actually a pretty good point. You're going to see some teams going to have to make some adjustments.
But I'm going to do the Cuba Gooding thing. If you're going to increase the roster, you got to show me the money.
Right, and it'd be interesting to see how they react to that. Like, do they just increase size overall? Like that's an interesting situation because that's definitely one part of it as well. So I think that you would have to see. I mean, if you're on a team where this isn't affecting you as much, I think it might be disjointed. If you're on a team where you're not going down with injuries as much, you're not as affected. But if you're a team where your pitchers are going down, I mean, it's gonna be rough. So I don't know that there's even a real solution right now at this second. To be honest,
well, I mean, if you're the New York Yankees, there's no problem. But if you're the Kansas City Royals, Don, what do you? I mean, is it a matter of the have and the have-nots?
Yep, that's direct free market capitalism in Major League Baseball. I mean,
right? It's a microcosm, right?
You got salary caps on other sports, but the Yankees, they can continue writing those checks.
That's another thing. You guys weren't here last week when we talked about a guy that got $765 million.
I hate those 15-year contracts, guys. 15-year. It's a 15-year, right?
It's a 15-year contract.
And 15 years.
And unlike Ohtani, it's not structured over a long term. He's getting his money up front.
I mean, it's a ton of money. That's a lot of money, man. I mean, 15 years is crazy.
Don, first, what's your thoughts on that? 15 years, 765 mil, and I think he gets all his money within the first 5 years or something like that.
We're talking like astronomical salaries. I mean, where else is money coming from? I mean, that's what gets me, because so your stadium, let's say, what's the capacity of Yankee Stadium? 40, 50,000, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
And the tickets are sold. If you're out in the outfield, they're cheap. The cheap seats.
46,000 for the Yankee Stadium. 46,500.
No, I was close. I said 40, 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and not every game is a sellout. So I don't know where the money's coming from. I mean, where do you get? I mean, you used to be able to buy a team for what, 20 mil back in the 80s. So
now your catcher costs that much.
Yeah. So I don't know where this money's coming. Where?
I mean, it's do the Mets? Did the Mets play in a different stadium, right? Because it's the Mets that signed him. The Mets are the ones who paid him.
Yeah.
He's a Met.
Yeah, I was just throwing the Yankees out just for example, because
he was a Yankee. He was a Yankee.
And the Yankees seem to have an endless payroll situation going there, and and the Los Angeles Dodgers as well. The Dodgers and the Yankees find a way to keep paying guys hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's still an apt example. I'll tell you that.
I'm not up current. Does the Steinbrenner family still own the Yankees?
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
he Steinbrenner was rich, but in New York, I mean, there's probably a lot more people with more money than Steinbrenner. So, I mean, I just it blows my mind where this money's coming from. Concessions, I know, like a $2 bill, a $2 beer, they're probably selling for $12, maybe. I don't know.
That incredible markup, that Juan Soto markup in those stadiums, man.
A soda costs you $5. I mean,
Hey, I bought a Diet Dr. Pepper out of my machine today at school, and I was pissed that they charged me $2 for it. $2.
Yeah, well, you better
push that over, Don. Get out of here with that. It's highway robbery.
But okay, so we saw, the difference between Otani and now we have Soto.
Yeah,
So
man, crazy.
so guys, when are we going to see the first $1 billion player? We're already at 765.
Within 3 years.
Man, goodness gracious.
3 years.
What do
I
you
felt like
think?
Soto was going to not Soto. I really felt like if Otani was going to approach it being his dual player situation, because you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 there with Otani. So the price even made more sense to me for Otani. The seven, it was at 765, 15.
Yeah.
So that means he's pushing about roughly 40, 50, about 50-ish a year, I'd imagine, on that. That's crazy. It's crazy to think, how old is he now? How old is he? Like late 20s, 28,
I
25?
think he's like 28 now.
Juan Soto age. Yeah, 26. Okay, guys. So that means they're going to be paying him $50 million a year when he's 40. When he's 40. He's going to be getting $50 million a year. When he's 41, he's going to get $50 million. I will never understand this. I will never. I don't know when is the last time we've seen a contract in baseball like this actually work out to where a guy even approaches going to the term of these contracts.
Well, Bobby Bonilla still getting paid.
Well, they did. They're smart. I think that was smart on both parties, as a matter of fact. By the Mets, I think, right?
Yeah, but he's not getting
By the
paid.
safety.
But he's not getting paid 762 million.
No, they would owe him money for like 1,000 years. But the thing is like I think that's smart on his part. That was smart on the best part. I think that was smart on Juan Soto part. We'll just piecemeal. We'll give it to you through generations. It's gonna be your third or fourth generation that gets this money. I mean, it's crazy to me, guys. Especially for a team like the Mets. I don't know if Juan Soto, if you're the Mets, was Juan Soto the answer? If you're the Mets, was giving one player almost $1 billion the answer for you? I don't know if it was. I mean, it's interesting.
Interesting fact here. One of the reasons why Soto went to the Mets was because the Yankees refused to give him a suite.
That's a very stupid reason. You got $765 million. Get your own suite. Like go buy a suite, bro. I mean,
well, that's
that's
what the Yankees are saying. Jeter and all these, all of the Hall of Famers that they have, they've never given a player a suite.
I hope that's not the real reason, man. Because that's so corny and childish and stupid. Like, I hope that's not the actual reason, man.
But the Mets said, "Would you like 2 suites?" No,
of course they did. They're the Mets. Of course they did. They have to offer the suites.
but the Mets gave him and his family a suite, along with the $765 million.
Well, good luck to him, right?
Remember, as Bill used to say, there's a level of pettiness.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'll give you 765 mil, but you have to buy your own suite. Or I'll give you 765 mil, your own parking place, a suite.
Give him the Russell Wilson deal, right? We see how that worked out. A helicopter, we'll give you a helipad. We can just fly into if you want to,
Oh. All right, guys. Jeffrey's going to be joining us at the 6:30 mark, and we're going to talk a little college football. But let's talk about the Heisman here. Okay, so another thing that a lot of us had talked about was how the Heisman had become a quarterback's trophy, and I think me and Don remember when it used to be a running back's trophy.
Oh yeah.
So that'll really date us. So the hunt is over, and Travis Hunter has won the Heisman, the Biletnikoff, and the Bedrick, which it means that he's also the most outstanding defensive back and the most uh, uh, the best wide receiver.
That's impressive,
Uh,
guys. I got to tell you, that Biletnikoff and Bednarik to add to that Heisman. That's impressive. You don't see that every day. I'll tell you that.
no. So, guys, what's your thoughts about first? As you say, Reggie. I mean, winning all three of these trophies, and where do you see him in the pros? Go ahead, Reg.
Oh, okay. So I think it's impressive that he won. I feel like it's kind of the cheat code. If you were in a Heisman race with this guy this year, like you look at Genty and what Genty was doing, he was tearing it up, man, running people over. But it's just hard to beat a guy that's literally playing almost every single snap on both sides of the ball. Like the guy is almost, and when you got a guy in Travis Hunter, he is almost, guys, doing literally everything he can do. Like he's almost literally playing every snap. Like he's catching touchdowns. He's catching interceptions. Like it's like the cheat code. So there, to me, the Heisman was long. It was decided. It's almost unfair to the other contenders. As far as his next level, it's interesting. It's interesting because I'm hearing some people say he should play corner. Some people say he should play wide out. I think he should play whichever one pays the most. And if he can play both equal, if all things being considered, and then maybe you run him in on plays here and there. I'll tell you one thing I would not do if I have him in the NFL is play him all these snaps. There's no way. No way. I'm not paying him nowhere near all these snaps because you're gonna have to pay him a lot of money eventually. If he's a player, you want to make sure he doesn't get killed out there. So there's no way he's gonna have to make a choice, or they're gonna have to limit his snap count to like a regular snap count. That means he plays less on offense and less on defense if they decide to play him on both, in my opinion.
Maybe he plays in some packages.
Yeah, I can see that.
Don, what's your thoughts here? Like I said, the Bedrick, and even if you took the Heisman off, I mean, which would be, but you could, guys would be, happy to have just one of these trophies.
Yeah. So let me before I answer the question, let me just say this. I think it's good for the sport that they didn't give it to the best player on the best team. Because I was afraid to give it to Dylan Gabriel at Oregon.
Oh, that would have been terrible, guys, right?
Yeah. Oregon's number one in the day, and he's their go guy. So the fact that they give it to a guy from Colorado, a team that did not even make their conference championship game, I love the fact that Travis Hunter is a two-way player. I think this is I think it's just it's good for the sport, and I think NFL. I think he's going to play. He's primarily defensive back. I think they'll put him in situations to run some routes, receiver. Which, if you think about it, if you draft Travis Hunter, you're getting a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, man.
You're getting a guy who will probably be a starter, at cornerback. And can come in and give some receivers a spell, and that in a roundabout way it helps your roster because you can add maybe an extra defensive lineman, where you have another receiver, or an extra offensive lineman, which we're seeing a string of injuries in that case. So I think that's the benefits of having Travis Hunter as a draft pick. Oh, sorry, Jimmy. What was your question? I went on a tangent. What was the original question?
That was it. The original question.
You kind of answered it in your answer there. You kind of answered it.
Yeah. We were talking about the fact that he won all three of these trophies. So you did answer that. But and the part about
James, real quick. The best defensive back trophy is called the Jim Thorpe Award. And a guy named Jade Barron won it from UT. Had to throw that out there.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what's the Bednarik then? What is a Bednarik? I know the Biletnikoff is the receiver award, right?
Right.
I don't know, but the Jim Thorpe Award is what they give the best DB.
That's interesting because
I thought I gotta look at I thought it was the best defensive back too.
Well, it's funny because
it says the defensive player of the year. So the Bednarik Award is overall defensive. It's like DPOY. So Bednarik is annually to the defensive player of the year, but not like by that specific position, or like a linebacker award or something like that.
Okay. So that's the best overall defensive
player for the Bednarik. And then I feel like the Biletnikoff has to be receiver though, right?
Yeah, the Biletnikoff is definitely receiver. Yeah, that's that's kind of me and Don's generation of wide
I watch my old Chuck tapes, running around. I'm a big NFL films guy, watching these guys run around out there, man. It's crazy. The game looks nothing like that, by the way. Nothing like it used to look.
Yeah, most definitely. Another thing I just kind of want to throw out there, I know I didn't throw it in the questions, but a quick talk about Shadir and where he might end up. Of course, everyone is saying, Tom Brady is a minority part of the Raiders now, and he'll have a say in the next quarterback. So I got kind of two questions here. Do you think that Tom is his mentor? So there is a good chance, and the Raiders are right now, I think, in the number 2 position as far as getting draft picks. I think they're in the number 2 position. But would bringing on Shakur mean firing Antonio Pierce? They've only won 2 games so far this season. Your thoughts, Reggie?
No, I don't see why not. I don't see why the decisions would be related to each other. I think if you're going to fire him, you're going to fire him. I don't know if Shador is really related to where his job security one way or the other, to be honest with you. But I don't. If I am turning the corner, and I feel this way about coach, depending on if I feel like the coach has lost the locker room, if I feel like the players like what they respond for, do they play hard for him? If I feel like all those things are present, and I see an opportunity for us to turn a corner, whether it's on, especially at the quarterback position, then maybe I do give him a chance, at least to see how he does. We go into the next season, and then we see how he does. But I feel like if the guy has lost the locker room, if the owner feels like he doesn't, the players aren't necessarily playing for him the way that he would like them to be, then I feel like that's just another reason to move on from Antonio Pierce. You could just say, hey, well, we're turning the whole corner. We're just going to redo the whole thing. It'll be yet another reason to move on from him. But I think that his job security should be separate from Shador, in my opinion. Like either people they like him or not, because his record says, of course, if you fire a guy that's 2-10, of course you fire him. But it's not always that easy, though. Not always that simple. It's just looking at that record and saying the coach is bad.
Well, he does have a kid that's going to be up for Rookie of the Year. They traded away his best wide receiver.
And Josh Jacobs being gone. Like that team didn't like a great team coming into the year.
Right.
It didn't look like a great. They had Brock Bowers pretty much coming into the year. Brock Bowers and Gardner Minshew. So I don't know what you were expecting out of this team. But I don't think it's Antonio Pierce's fault. But at the end of the day, guys, we all know how this works. If you wanted to move on from a coach that's 2 and something, then it's not hard to do.
What do you think, Don? Like I said, there's you have a relationship between a partial owner and being his mentor. Do you think that we kind of raped the Raiders as far as talent was concerned? Nobody expected Bowers to be a candidate for Rookie of the Year. We all knew that he had talent, but maybe not quite to this level when you consider the people that are throwing to him. Don, what's your thoughts here?
Well, I don't know I don't know the mindset of the front office for the Raiders. would they even take Shadir as a first round, or would they take Travis Hunter? I mean,
that'd be crazy. Oh
yeah.
wow, wouldn't that be crazy?
So there's just several. I mean, there's several possibilities now. In Texas, we keep hearing that Jerry Jones is going to hire Deion Sanders. I don't know if y'all heard that
Also
where y'all are, but we've been hearing that.
And, yes, we did.
And
I mean, I heard that it's a possibility, but I also heard Deion say he's staying. But you know how these guys do; they say they're staying until they leave in the middle of the night. So.
Yeah.
Or you offer him $765 million. I mean,
oh, he's leaving, guys.
There was a coach. Y'all remember Tommy Tuberville, right?
Tuberville, yeah.
Yes.
He was at Texas.
He's a senator now, I want to say. I think he's like in government now or something.
Yeah, he's
Alabama.
Senator from Alabama. Anyway, he was at Texas Tech, and he was having dinner with a recruit, and he got a text and excused himself at the restaurant and never went back. He left the recruit and his family just hanging.
Wow.
And this was like 2 days after. Said, "Oh, I'm at Tech. I'm staying at Tech." So
goodness gracious.
Yeah, so that just shows that
you're savage.
Yeah, you're committed until you're not committed. So yeah, Google it. Google Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah. I remember that.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
So Deion staying at Colorado. Yeah, until something better comes along. Now Colorado. I don't know if y'all ever been to Boulder. It's a beautiful campus.
I heard it's nice.
You got the Rockies up there. 3/4 of the student population is high as a kite, but that Rocky Mountain High. But it's a beautiful campus. We played there back in 1989, and I love Colorado, and Colorado was winning back in those days. So there's a lot of reasons to stay at Colorado, but there's a lot of reasons to go to Dallas and make that kind of money. So so Deion, like they said, he'll stay in Colorado until he doesn't.
To the money says, "Come over here, Deion." He comes over.
And there's also speculation that he might go to Florida State.
Why?
He's an alum.
I don't even think he claims Florida State. I think he claims Jack. He seems like he was kind of spurned from Florida State. If I'm remembering correctly, Deion seems to have some bad blood there with Florida State. Maybe Jeff could put some perspective on that. But I thought there was some bad blood. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm making that up. But I thought there was some bad blood between Florida State and Deion there.
No, there's.
Good evening, Jeffrey. How you doing?
Hi, everyone. How you doing tonight?
A lot of things that are happening in your conferences there, Jeffrey. So you can start with Reggie's question there, if you like. Was there some bad blood there between Deion and his old alumni?
Yeah, there's Reggie's right. There's a little bit of bad blood there, and I'm not really sure what the root cause of it was, but he is not the most popular among Florida State fans. He's made statements about not really came in Florida State. I don't think I think he still definitely loves Bobby Bowden. I don't think it was anything to do with there, but I think it's been some things since he left that it's just not what you would expect. For one of their former great players. There's definitely something under the surface there between Florida State and Deion. There's no question about it.
Well, I wonder if it's related to Jimbo Fisher, maybe.
Wow, wouldn't that be interesting, right? You have to go back to the coaches for that. That'd be
interesting. Because everyone loved Bobby Bowden, but not everyone likes Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, that is true. Jeffrey, there's I'm going to let you take these in any order that you like, but I got about three things here I like, and maybe the panel has some others. But
I'm in on this Belichick situation, man. I definitely got a Belichick question I want to get in here soon as I can get it in here.
Well, that's kind of my first question. Mac in and Mac out, Bill in. Jeffrey, we want to ask you about the new sheriff in town and his effect on the ACC conference. And second, Don, you might want to shut your ears for this one. But we have a DL defensive lineman. He is committing to Vandy. I don't know if it has to do with maybe
Vandy. What a year they're having. All right, Vandy.
Yeah, and lastly, Debo has went out and found himself a wide receiver, Tristan Smith. But Jeffrey, it's from the portal.
Welcome, Dabo.
Yeah.
welcome to the 21st century here, Dabo. Join
that
us
was
here.
kind of a big story. Dabo found a receiver in the portal, but we can start with Belichick, and I think just the mere fact that we're starting out an ACC discussion with Bill Belichick is the reason why it's so noteworthy. When was the last? I mean, Mac Brown was a big hire. He was former national championship, winning coach from Texas, and he had a lot of success at North Carolina the first go around. But when was the last time the ACC made a coaching hire, any coaching hire, that was like front and center in the news cycle, nonstop for the? I mean, the next day after it was announced, it was on national radio shows. It was on Sports Center. I mean, it's so hard for ACC football to get in the discussion of ESPN and on the national shows, and it was nonstop about Bill Belichick. And I think that's how it's really meaningful for North Carolina and the ACC. I mean, you've got a legendary coach coming to North Carolina. They've made massive investment to basically give him whatever he wants to do, and who knows if it will be successful or not. I mean, there've been some other examples of former NFL coaches who've won Super Bowls going back and coaching in college and made not having as much success as they did as pros. You go way back with Robinson and USC and then the Rams and all that. But with Belichick, I mean, you have a 6-time, he won 6 Super Bowls, and it's just the mere fact that you're having that kind of publicity, and just wait for like ACC media days, which a lot of times has been an afterthought, to the SEC media days. And now with a guy like Belichick there, I mean, it's going to be in that news cycle. And so when you're the ACC and you're looking at football, anything that gets them on the front page of the sports of the sports news is a positive thing. Now, I don't know, if other teams in the ACC are going to kind of move in that direction to try to hire a high profile guy. I mean, you see what Deion Sanders has done at Colorado. I kind of look at Belichick in that same vein. It's compared to it, just the fact that Deion Sanders was there at Colorado, brought in massive ratings, a lot of publicity for Colorado, and I think Belichick will have a very similar effect. Now, of course, Sanders started winning. You're going to have to win at some point. You only go so far, but the hire itself, remains to be seen how successful it will be. But as an initial splash, yeah, it's pretty big. It's big, and North Carolina is going all in on investment, NIL. So Belichick's going to have all of the resources he needs to try to put together that program. And Mac Brown, when he was there, he could recruit. I mean, they had NFL talent at quarterback with Sam Howell and Drake May, and he recruited well. Yeah. It just didn't really translate, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So, I mean, you can get talent in Chapel Hill, and they can. There's no reason to think that North Carolina can't do, something like SMU did really quickly.
Can I get a question in here real quick, James, for Jeff? What do you think because when this first happened, I think a lot of people are thinking, all right, and it's such a surprising and impactful move for everybody, especially being that it's at UNC and it's in the ACC, especially. I think that all of that helps to make it a bigger story. What do you think the chances really are, from your perspective, and maybe even from what you're hearing, that we get to this point next year in September and Belichick is actually on that UNC sideline, like walking up and down that sideline on game day?
I think he'll definitely be there. I mean, he's already made statements that, agents, players have been reaching out to him to join the team. Now, I mean, as I kind of said before, we don't know how this is going to look, but I think you'll see him there at North Carolina for at least a couple of years. That's nice, for sure.
Man.
And
Interesting.
Yeah, I think he's I think a part of him wants to kind of create that legacy that Tom Brady did when he went to Tampa Bay, and they kind of like, hey, can I win without Belichick? Okay, Brady won a Super Bowl at Tampa Bay, and I think there's a little part of Belichick that says, how far can I take, North Carolina? And he didn't have to win a national title, but if he gets North Carolina to the playoff, I mean, I think it'd be mission accomplished for what he's looking to try to do.
Agreed. I agree.
I'm more interested in seeing him on media day.
Yeah, that's going to be a big deal too.
I think that the Belichick is probably going to do a little bit better as a professional coach than Nick Saban, just because Nick Saban was operating under NIL when he originally came in and he went to the pros. I think now that Belichick, who's come from the pros of college, well, he's used to having, dealing with agents and in financial deals with the athletes. So I think that's a good hire by North Carolina.
Yeah, that's
the 5x increase in NIL spend is impressive. Also, that's North Carolina saying, "Hey, we're going to give you the resources." But a 5x, if you're Mac Brown, how do you feel about that 5x increase in NIL spend one calendar year later?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good point Don made about, the NFL experience, not just from the coaching side, but from the business administrative side. I mean, you're starting to see more and more college programs hiring, NFL executives into like general manager type positions. I know Georgia Tech just hired a Chicago Bear executive, and Stanford is bringing Andrew Luck to kind of a GM position. So, I mean, now it's kind of going the other way. These college football programs are trying to get these NFL guys to with that business knowledge that they need now. It's different ball game in college football. So that's going to be really interesting.
What about that Vandy transfer, Jeff?
What was that? Which transfer was that?
The kid from Texas, the defensive lineman. What was his name? Aaron.
Aaron's the only name you have here.
Aaron Bryant.
Yeah, that's he's supposed to be transferring. He went in the portal and went to Vandy. I'm asking this, because we see, a couple of transfers to ACC schools by some prominent names.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, I hadn't followed, the transfer portal there at Vanderbilt, so I might not be the best one who can hit on the Vanderbilt transfer.
But like I said, we're just talking about, the transfer to the ACC. That usually you see guys going the opposite way from the ACC to the SEC.
I think NIL is going to change a lot of that, though, James. I mean, when NIL came, I think that what NIL, one of the things it's going to do is going to make a lot of more schools competitive because people will go where the check is being written now. Like there's a few schools, you don't have to go to 2 or 3 schools to be on TV, 2 or 3 schools to be drafted. You can be drafted, you can be on television with the internet, you can be seen almost playing it anywhere. So I think a lot of kids are going to go where that check is being written. So I think you're going to see a lot more kids going to a lot more random places than we've thought they would be going. And I think you'll see a lot. That'll become more normalized, I imagine, as NIL kind of proliferates more.
You agree,
Yeah,
Jeffrey?
I mean, yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. And while I did, honestly, I had to just kind of look that up, who that Vanderbilt picked up. I mean, you're kind of seeing that, and which is also kind of weird, and is a bit concerning, is now you're starting to have teams that are in the playoffs having players transfer during the playoffs, because we kind of looked at it before, like, oh,
I don't like that.
we've got opt-outs and it's for bowl games and nobody cares. And I mean, look what happened to Penn State.
Yeah.
I mean, their
Yeah,
backup quarterback.
We're going to talk about that a little bit.
Okay. But I mean, I won't go too deep into it then, but I mean, they have a contributing backup quarterback, that feels like he had to transfer out. And, there's multiple transfers. I think the only 2, I know they said, I remember reading Notre Dame hasn't had a transfer, but I think at least 10 of the other 12 playoff teams have had
at least one.
Has had at least one player transfer. I mean, here you have a chance to play for a national title, and you can't hold on to your roster. And some of these guys are, I haven't yet heard of a starter, but that's coming. It's just a matter of time until they change something, that a playoff team with a starter is going to transfer before, because somebody made them a gigantic offer. I mean, they have to move the portal window. And I don't understand.
We're going to talk about that. That's our next question afterwards.
Okay.
So what do you think about Dabo finally getting using the portal? I mean, last week we were just talking about bah humbug.
Well, I think Dabo he's gotten like some under the radar guys out of the portal that didn't turn out to be contributors, and I think this is maybe one of the first ones that he's really trying to add depth with, and not just have them like as a grad, transfer to build up their coaching. Like, I really felt like he looked after a point of need to pick up this receiver, because they lost a couple wide receivers in the portal. Stellato went early, and they have a couple of young guys, Tony Westco and Moore, who are talented, but they need depth. They're going next year, so I don't think you're going to see Dabo go all in and pick up, 10 or 12 transfers and try to turn over his roster. But I think it's just no other way that you can survive in college football anymore without, at least looking at your areas of need. And, you look at the Clemson football team, and the one thing you could really tell about them is their starting 22, is right up there among the best in college football. They have talent on that team. But in the games that they lost, they faded against Georgia in the second half. All right, Louisville, they were kind of struggled the entire game, but against Pittsburgh they won, but they faded in that game, almost lost it. Against South Carolina, they led the entire game and faded late. I mean, he has to be able to build up depth, and recruiting, you has your players that you're going to be able to have in a couple years. But if you want to build up like depth now, you've got to get these players that have like a year or two already under their belt of experience. And I think he's finally realizing that. So, I mean, like I said, I don't think you're going to see him, try to turn over his roster or anything, but I think you're definitely going to see them be more active in the portal than they've been in the past. And I mean, he had to do it. There's just no other way that Clemson could survive going forward without at least embracing it some.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was interesting. Last week we had just talked about Dabo and how he refused to use the portal to his uh, advantage. But it's either you use your tools or they get dull. Same with your team. But Jeffrey,
Exactly.
now we can talk about the portal and if Reggie, if you or Don want to join in, it's fine. But
yeah, I'll jump in. I'll let Jeff. I'll kind of go after his comments, after Jeff's comments.
okay, we have the SMU coach calls for the end of December portal to be moved. Coach says that the players must decide whether to transfer or, like you said, Jeffrey, to play in the college football playoffs. Do you agree with the coach, Jeff?
Yeah, I saw those comments from Rhett Lashley, and he was, as part of that, he was saying that, he was trying to prepare for a game with Penn State, and he's basically having his players, other programs coming after his players left and right to look into the portal. I mean, you shouldn't have to do that at this point in the season. I totally agree with him. They need to get rid of the December portal window. And I mean, if I was like the college football, czar, and I could make the rules, what I would do is I would eliminate the December window, and that would eliminate players trying to transfer in the postseason. I mean, you'll still have opt-outs for the bowl games and things like that, but there would be a lot less. You'd have, more players available for the bowl games, and coaches could just concentrate on the postseason. And what I would do is eliminate that December portal window, open up the portal window, in April or May, because I know that there's a lot of frustration, with kids being able to enroll or not in time for school. So, make it in April or May, let it be wide open. If a coach, the one thing I would add is if you have a coach that leaves for another job, then that program, their window can open up for a month so that a player doesn't have to wait for a coaching change and they can enter the portal. And that can be at any time during the year. So if your coach leaves in December, then the portal window is open for you. But just have it in April or May and leave it at that, because this December portal window is killing the postseason.
Reggie?
Yeah, well, my comments aren't going to be very long. I agree. I mean, there's no way. There's no way, guys. I can see this continuing. It's unsustainable. And it's just like Jeff said, you know what it's going to take, guys. It's going to take one of those guys, one of those starters transferring before this may be a seismic situation. So I definitely agree that it should be close. It should be close. It should be a close window. Or especially in December. It should be closed in December.
What do you think, Don?
Yeah, I'm totally on board with closing it in December. I think maybe they should open it. Okay, so your college students, they come back, the second week of January for the most part? That's why it is in Texas. In Texas, they have a 4-week winter break. So I think the second week of January is they come back. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe 3 days after the national championship game, open that window in January so the kids can enroll where they want to enroll, and then I guess you can open it up again back in April or May. But I'm not totally against having an early portal window. I just think they need to close it in December and open it in January.
Okay, Jeffrey, it seems like the billionaires are back. NIL sounds to me stands for now it's legal. What's your thoughts? We got billionaires back in the SMU program. I mean that was what once caused them the kiss of death, so to speak. What's your thoughts about all of these guys? We're not talking about the little used car dealer down the street, or you know. We're talking about guys, that got generational money here. What's your thoughts on their influence here, Jeff?
Yeah, and now the portal window, you have at least a chance to maybe control the money part, the NIL. I don't know how you bring that back when under control. It's a total free for all now. You might have some shot to kind of with the $20 million revenue allotment that they put out might help bring a little bit of that under some control. But I mean, right now you've got players out there asking for $1 or $2 million. I mean, these are not like all Americans either. I mean, guys that are like, second and third team conference players leaving their schools, and agents telling them that they're worth a million or 2 million, and in some cases still getting it. And honestly, I really don't know how you can get that under control at this point. Because there's no real governing body. I mean, I don't think any of us look at the NCAA as being able to get a handle on this. Maybe like the Power Four looks at it together and brings some kind of control to it, or they end up separating, like this been kind of discussed, where the 30 or 40 biggest football programs break loose and then they kind of make their own rules. But right now, I don't know how you bring that under control with the NIL. I mean, there's just like obscene amounts of money being tossed around for these players.
Don, is it funny that we're talking about Texas here?
Yeah, I when all this came out, the portal and NIL. You remember this, James? Because we talked about it on the show a few years ago when that came out. I hated it, and then it dawned on me: Texas is going to benefit from this more than most people. So I became a big fan of the portal real quick. Real quick. So, you're talking about SMU, and this is really not related, but Coach Rhett Lashley, remember that name? That guy is legit coach. I could see him moving on to Oklahoma when Oklahoma fires Venables. So, and that scares me. I don't want Rhett Lashley at Oklahoma. I don't want him at A&M. So, but just know that name. That he took the SMU program, and he's legit, dude.
Yeah, well, hey, there's always that one guy, Don, that seems to come to Oklahoma for them few years, just enough to be a pain in the butt.
Oh yeah.
But Jeffrey, as usual, man, always good talking to you. You got any questions that you want to ask Jeffrey before he leaves, Reggie?
Well, I got my Belichick one out the way. I was just burning interest about that to see if he was actually going to coach, like if he's going to be on the sidelines. A lot of time between now and next year, a lot of time for things to happen. So it's just interesting. But I also think that, to his point, there's a lot of things that Belichick would have to start getting in place way before that time. So it's not like he could wait all the way to then to start kind of putting things in place. So I think that there is a good chance we'll see him on the sidelines there at UNC, which is crazy to me. It's wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
Jeffrey, one last question before you go. Do you think that the current matchup favors Notre Dame to reach the Final Four?
Yeah, I mean, I think they drew a pretty favorable matchup in the opening round with Indiana. and they got that game at home. I mean, without the conference championship, they do have to play the extra game. But I think with Riley Leonard there at Notre Dame, um, I feel like they're going to have a fairly comfortable win over Indiana. And then I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, they'll play the winner of
No, the winner of that'll play Arizona State.
I think Arizona State gets the winner of Clemson and Texas.
Yeah. Well, then they get
the Georgia, I think. Is that right?
Man.
Yeah. They would have to get the Georgia matchup.
Okay, and and with Georgia, it's all going to kind of depend on, is Carson Beck going to be available for that game? Because I mean, I don't think this is a vintage Georgia team of the last few years. I mean, I think they're kind of getting by on just knowing how to win. I mean, they've been the premier program in college football the last 3 or 4 years, and Kirby Smart has won 2 national titles, but they are not the dominant team that those national title teams were, but they know how to win. I mean, we saw them against Ole Miss, kind of got blown out down there at Oxford. I mean, they went to 8 overtimes with Georgia Tech, and the Jackets had like a great offensive game plan that Georgia really struggled with. So I think, if Notre Dame gets to Georgia, I feel like that's a pretty good matchup for them, especially if Beck is not available. And I think you hear a lot about Oregon, you hear about Georgia, you hear about Ohio State, and I think this Notre Dame team, I think has as realistic chance of winning the national title as they have had in a really long time. I mean, they've had some other playoff teams, but I don't think anyone really felt like they could win the national title. I think this Notre Dame team has a real shot to win the national championship.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Final thoughts, Jeffrey?
Yeah, we got the 2 ACC teams in the playoffs this weekend. They're going to be underdogs in both of them. SMU going to Penn State, and Clemson going to Texas. I mean, I can't sit here and call for the upsets, because you go on the road to those 2 places, it's going to be very difficult. But I give both of them puncher's chances in those games. I mean, I think SMU has a pretty explosive offense with Kevin Jennings. I mean, they're actually deeper than a lot of people give them credit for. And if they could kind of speed up Penn State and get them, playing faster than they want to, I mean, I think they have a shot. And Clemson, I think, matches up talent-wise. I don't think the gap is that big with Texas. It's going to be a matter of if Clemson can run the ball. If they can't run the ball, they have no chance to win the game, and that's a big question mark. They lost the Haynes kid to an ACL in the ACC championship. That was their second string back, and then Phil Maffa has had shoulder injury the last several weeks, which has limited his play. And when you look at that Texas game, if Clemson can run for somewhere between 75 to 125 yards, establish some sort of running game, they'll be able to get that game into the fourth quarter. But if that Texas, they got a really great defense. If they lock down on that running game, Cade Klubnik is a good quarterback, and they got a pretty decent receiving crew. But they don't. I mean, he's not Deshaun Watson. He's not Trevor Lawrence. He's not going to be able to throw them into a victory. They're going to have to be able to run the ball, and that's going to be the question. So I do kind of feel like you'll see 2 competitive games this weekend. I know we're talking football here, so good thing we didn't talk about ACC basketball this year so far, because it's been a disaster outside of Duke.
I was gonna say, how's Cooper Flagg? I heard Cooper Flagg is Cooper Flagg working out, or because I know the big hoopla coming into the season. From what you're seeing, is that been substantiated so far?
I I mean, he's definitely an NBA talent, and he's really a stat stuffer. But especially in the couple of Duke's early losses, when they lost to Kentucky, they tried to run the offense through him late in the game, and you could just tell the moment was too big for Cooper Flag.
Okay.
He had a couple turnovers, and he tried to do a little bit too much. But I think now Duke is starting to settle in and use guys like Proctor and some of their upperclassmen, and not have to rely on Cooper Flag late in games. That's how they beat Auburn. I mean, Auburn might be the best team in the country, and I think they're starting to settle into a feel where Duke is the one legitimate team in the ACC that can really get to the Final Four. Talent-wise, he's as good as advertised, but you could see early in the season, late in the games, he was trying to do a little bit too much. So if they work around the rest of their offense, kind of let him, build up that part of his game, where he can really handle having the ball in the final minute, he can become the player that a lot of people think he can be, and the talent is there. It's unmistakable. I mean, he's putting up like 15 and 10 every game.
Yeah.
All right, nice.
We'll be starting our NCAA basketball talk soon, which is going to have some conversations with Texas in it too, I believe. But I do agree with you about Auburn. Those are discussions for another show. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. We appreciate your time, my man, and looking forward to having you back soon.
All right, thanks for having me. Enjoyed it as always.
Let's see how those two games turn out, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk again, depending upon your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, bye everyone.
All right, see you later.
Yeah. I see Mr. Scott is here, so I'm assuming that means that it's time for us to start talking about some National League football.
Well, he got here just before I got out of here. I tried to get out of here. I was like, you know what? I got on this show and I said, I haven't seen Mr. Scott, and it's almost 10 p.m. I'm about to get out of here. Well, and then at 9:56, this guy slides into the chat. At 9:56, this guy slides in right at 9:56, right under there to get in and get this cousin
comment about Jeffrey. I had a lot of respect for Jeffrey and his picks and all of that, but this Notre Dame, I mean, come on, they lost to what? Northern Illinois, they beat Stanford, they beat Navy, they beat Army. They're no good. I mean,
they're no good.
And then the man from Atlanta, just quickly, Kirk Cousins, the bag man. What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny because let me give them on my way out here because this is my last. I was going to take this question right before I left. So let's go ahead and get that in real quick. So I feel like it's a mixed bag. If you look at what Kirk's done for us up to this point, he has done better than what we had last year. We're at 7 wins now. We had 7 wins the last 3 years each year. So I feel like we've done a decent job there, but I feel like the last game, the Monday night game, was the biggest indictment against him. When you're seeing him play 112 yards, your replacement outplayed you. The biggest thing about that, guys, because I never felt worse after a win than Monday. We looked terrible. We looked terrible. We didn't even get to 20 points. We let Ritter walk up the field, and he almost walked up there twice, guys. I don't know if you remember. There was a goal to go. We almost lost that game. The thing is, a bad win. A horrible win. And the thing is, guys, what's worse for me and why I kind of have to be out on Kirk, at least right now, is he's just not passing the eye test. He's not passing the eye test, man. We got to put the kid in at this point. And I feel like to your question the way that you place that question, as if we're giving up on the South, I think it's quite the opposite. I feel like the team feels like they still have a chance at the South. So they're going to try to make this change now to see if they can salvage that chance.
And I'll just counter that real quick. The deal with Kirk, when he was here all the years, one thing he did not do was turn the ball over. He really didn't throw interceptions. He didn't. He always threw the ball out of bounds. He never really turned the ball over. And now I'm not sure what it is, but it just doesn't seem to be working.
cannot disagree with that.
Now, there's two things that I saw in that game. First of all, he's trying to do something that you tell high school quarterbacks not to do, and that's aim the ball. You can't aim the ball. I mean, especially as fast as the NFL game is. It not only does it affect your accuracy, but it also sets you up for pick six.
He almost had 2 interceptions too, by the way, guys. The defense just didn't catch the ball, but he had a couple where he could have had a multiple interception game again this game. It's very possible. And with no Max Crosby, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. There was no Max Crosby out there. This is a Raider team that's won 2 games. You can't have losses like this. So unfortunately, even though we have a front-loaded contract. I looked at the math on the contract. That means that next year, I think we're paying him $62.5 this year. So next year he's making $27.5, which I feel like is very tradable. A very tradable contract for a quarterback like Kirk. But it's interesting to see, guys, if we don't put Kirk back out there, can we trade him because of what he looked like the last time that he was out there? I feel like it will be detrimental to him on the trade market there. But we'll see. Somebody's always desperate for a quarterback somewhere. So if Penix works out, I can see that being what ends up happening.
Looking for quarterback, so we'll see.
Are you really ready to run Penix out there against Baker Mayfield with perhaps the championship on the line?
I think so, because I didn't want to run him out there against the other three teams. That's why I gave Kirk a pass. I gave Kirk a pass on the Chargers, the Broncos, the Vikings. All great defenses. All three great defense that give teams fits. I cannot give him a pass on the Raiders. I can't. So at this particular point in time, it is what it is. I mean, when you look at what we've been doing, when you look at Kirk's turnover rate, turnovers, guys, whether we're talking basketball, whether we're talking NFL, whether we're talking superstar, whether we're talking rookie, it's the ultimate equalizer. It will get you benched. Turnovers will get you put on the bench. And that's the ultimate equalizer, no matter how much money you're making, no matter how kind of star you are, kind of league you're in. So that's Kirk's just, I mean, here he is. He's seen that. He's seen the other side of that.
All right, Reg. Well, I know it's time for you to take off. You want to give us your final thoughts, and I'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, man. I'll be on Saturday. Happy holidays, guys. And hoping for some great college football. But we got like 1 million games coming up. I feel like over the next 7 days, I think the NFL is doing games like semi-daily or something like that. I saw some crazy schedules. Be on the lookout for that, guys. Over the next week and hoping for some great football games.
You got three games for the Kansas City Chiefs, the Steelers, and the Ravens. You got 3 games in 11 days.
Crazy. But hey, good for us though. So happy holidays if I don't see you guys, and otherwise enjoy some football this weekend, fellas. See you next time,
man.
All right. See you later, guys.
All right. So, Mr. Scott, a lot of things to talk about this week. You did get a chance to talk to one of your nemesis here, but we will talk a little football here, and I'm going to start out, of course, with all of these face mask penalties, that we see, after the play and, not being called. Mr. Scott, do you think that face mask penalties should be the subject of instant replay next season?
Well, not necessarily when they're so blatant. I mean, when the man's head turns around and they grab the thing and
evidently the referee can't see it, and we saw some examples this Sunday.
Well, I mean, that's their job. I mean, they have more than one referee. They have more than people out there. So it's almost like it's not a penalty anymore. Just like the great tush push. I thought I thought you couldn't do that. I thought you couldn't just push people and start playing rugby. So the rules are changing the kickoffs. When I look at the kickoff, everybody just stands still. And then wait till the man catches the ball, then they can run. I mean, I'm not sure where these games are going. But as far as the face masks, so yes, it should be reviewed. I mean, if everybody sees it, but the people there, and they can't see it, well, then maybe they should look at the camera.
What do you think, Don? Don? There he is.
Sorry, I had to make a little trip somewhere. So I got to hear y'all talking. So the fact that they can review things like targeting tells them they can review face masks. I'll just leave it at that because a lot of times you'll see a face mask or even a horse collar that's obvious and doesn't get called. And I think it's good for integrity of the game if they would review that, just like they do targeting, So part of the game.
Okay. Don, everybody talks about the acquisition of Saquon Barkley in Philly, but shouldn't they talk a little bit about the hiring of defensive coordinator Vic Fangio? I mean, compared, this time last year, that secondary was a mess. What's your thoughts?
Well, yeah. So, when you put together a team, you have to put together a team that plays like complementary football. So, it just makes sense to do that to even out your offense and your defense. Through any means necessary, whether it's through free agency or draft. So, yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, Mr. Scott?
So what was that question again?
The hiring of a defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, by the Eagles. Everybody talks about the great acquisition of Saquon Barkley, but nobody talks about how improved that Eagles defense is.
Yeah, that defense is really looking good. I mean, I think the Eagles are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, I really do. I think this is going to really come down to an NFC. I mean, the Vikings have a clear shot. All they have to do is keep winning. That's all they have to do is keep winning. But the downside of that is, if they don't win the division, they're going to have to go somewhere. They're going to have to go somewhere with the record like they have. They're still going to have to go somewhere on the road for the first game. So this is really the critical time. But I think Philly, right now, to me, they look to be in the driver's seat.
I definitely agree. I have to agree with you there, Mr. Scott. For once, we do agree on that. But Mr. Scott,
that's so rare. That's like Haley's comment. I mean, that's so rare.
But Mr. Scott, I want to ask you another question here. We've seen the front-running MVP Bills quarterback Josh Allen, and the Bills. They've scored 87 points in their last two games, but the defense has given up 86 points in the last two games. Mr. Scott, do you got any concerns here?
Well, boy, Josh Allen is clearly the best ball player out there. I mean, when you look at his size, his speed, the way he throws the ball, I mean, really, come on. He's just, in a league by himself. But the peg leg man in Kansas City, see, he's hurt, but he's even better when he's on his peg leg. So it's going to me. It's got to come down to that. And can Josh do it? Boy, he's going to keep scoring points. If he doesn't get hurt, this man is going to bulldoze through through the whole thing, I think. But that's my take on it. Yeah, the defense gives up points. But they score more. And I think that he's a guy that can almost control the game. I mean, with his running ability, his savvy, his throwing, I mean, people bounce off of him when he decides to run.
But all he needs is a phone booth, Mr. Scott. Don, what's your thoughts here? Like we're saying, they score plenty of points, but they give up plenty of points too.
They do, and I think that last game they played was, like a perfect example of that. I do think that you have an MVP on your team. That makes all the difference. But again, if you don't play defense, it's going to eventually catch up to you.
I'm sort of you just can't. I don't think the NFL is built for you to win shootouts. Because sooner or later that's going to catch up with you. What happens? We've seen what happens when Josh Allen is injured. So that's one thing you have to make sure you keep him upright.
And we're talking about that. Think about the numbers that Jared Goff put up. It's still lost.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, got two teams here to talk about. Just talking about the Lions.
They got a lot of injuries.
They just lost three more players, including David Montgomery, for the rest of the season. To me, it seems like they're fighting another battle of attrition. They might get their number one rusher back if they can make it to the Super Bowl. But I'm really concerned about, they're winning a playoff game on the road. As you say, Mr. Scott, the way things look right now, Philly is the best team over there in the NFC. So they would get the first round bye. And it's possible that, they fall off into that fourth place and your Vikings could win the division. Speaking of your Vikings, Mr. Scott, they've already backed their way into a playoff spot. Now, like you said, all they have to do is keep on winning, and they can possibly win their division. So, Mr. Scott, what do you think about these last games, and why haven't you guys signed Sam Darnold to an extension? Are you willing to let him walk if he wins your division and gets you to the playoffs?
Well, first of all, I resent that comment about us backing in. I mean, when you look at our, so that's another biased statement by JK3. We did not back in. We've been winning. You look at our record, it was not a back in. So, I mean, I resent that statement. And so as far as Sam Darnold, I don't know what they're waiting on. I mean, I think if they go ahead and he's shown that he can get you that everything is working. And this is the thing I don't get about these coaches. I mean, when we had Zimmer and we had the guy that was playing quarterback that he hated. What was that quarterback? Oh, he's a backup now. I can't think of his name. He hated the guy, but the offensive coordinator kept telling him, we're still winning. Everything is working. And he wouldn't even name him as the starter week after week. Look, if it's working, keep making it work. So, yeah, they should sign the man. I don't know why they wouldn't. They talk about the money. Okay, so you don't sign him, then what do? You got a guy that's hurt all year, that he has never played a game, and then you've put all these people around Darnold. Jefferson, these receivers are looking good. Aaron Jones. I mean, this is your time now. So I don't know. I don't understand. I should get the job. Basically, I should just tell them, "Scoop me, just you can stay here, but just listen to me. You just call me on the bat phone, and I'll tell you what to do." They should sign the man. I don't understand it. Case Keenum. That's who I was thinking of. He took to the NFC title, but he was never named the starter because of Zimmer. Refused, didn't like the man, didn't want the offensive coordinator to say what was good. I forget that guy, offensive coordinator. He was a good offensive coordinator too. So these coaches sometimes, they can be a big impediment, just like Campbell is in Detroit. I wish Demetrius was here so I could tell him what the real score is with Campbell.
Where is Demetrius?
I have no idea. Usually he'll let me know what city that he's in. I haven't seen Demetrius for a while.
Well, he was supposed to come to San Antonio, and I was going to take him to another barbecue restaurant, but he hadn't heard from him. So
yeah.
We had a lot of fun last time he was here.
Yeah, you guys talked about that. Speaking of having fun, Don.
Okay.
Let's talk about your two teams here in Texas. It doesn't seem like Jerry's having a lot of fun, but I keep hearing and people keep talking about Dion leaving Colorado and coming to Texas. And to me, Don, this would be a bigger disaster than Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. I can't see someone with as big a personality Jerry having to compete with them. Jerry is the only owner that has press conferences after the game. And actually goes in the locker room. And I don't know. I can't see these two big personalities matching. I think he needs that silent type like McCarthy that just lets him do whatever he wants. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So Jerry isn't going to let anyone overshadow him. That's a fact. And Dion. Let me just say this about Dion. If Dion were to go to Dallas, he would win. I don't know how big he'll win. He'll win with the talent they have. I think he's definitely a players type coach. But the media is going to be flocking to Dion and not Jerry, and Jerry's not going to put up with that. So, what was that thing you said? Bill talks about pettiness. Yeah, that's where that comes from. So, but Dallas, they actually won a few games having Cooper Rush as their quarterback, and so I just don't see Dak Prescott being on the roster this time and next year.
You think somebody else is going to get? Well, hey,
I think someone might pick up his contract. I don't know, but I just had that feeling that Dak is done in Dallas. I mean, he's in that
Shador.
Yeah, there you go. But he's in that stage of his career where he's getting hurt more often, and so we saw how Jerry dealt off Ezekiel Elliott when he had a few injuries. He brought Ezekiel back, but for a much reduced price. So I just think that I think they'll be looking for some new blood come draft time in the quarterback position. Now going to the other team, the Texans. The Texans aren't having the season they had last year, but they're still they're still competitive. They still win games they shouldn't win. but that they're still losing games they shouldn't lose. So it's been a double-edged sword. But I still like I still like the I still like C.J. Stroud. He's one of my favorite players right now in the NFL. He's not flashy, but he does win. So that's it with the Texans.
Okay.
Well, I like the Dallas. I like the Dallas getting Dion. I like it because if he comes in and he's doing good, just like when Jimmy Johnson did, the owner takes the credit. He's going to take all the credit. If once they start winning, he's just going to be, it's all him. He's the one that's doing it. So that's where the conflict will come. When Dion, if they come in, they start doing well, and the owner's going to take all the credit. That's what he does. It's his show, period. He's the star of the show. And so I still think he'll do that. Why not? What is he going to do?
Well, for one, I don't think Shador will be there when the Texans, when Dallas picks, gets their draft pick. I think he'll be gone long before then.
But they're lousy, so they should have a high draft pick, shouldn't they?
Well, but it won't be higher than either the Giants or the Raiders.
Yeah, but he can say he don't want to go there.
Yeah, he could. He definitely could. But you also got to remember that his mentor is Tom Brady, who's now a minority owner of the Raiders, who was also looking for a quarterback and possibly a coach. The Raiders are 2-11. You know,
the bag could dictate it. Yeah, the bag. Yeah.
Speaking
I'd like to see Dallas. I'd like to see that show go to Dallas and Jerry Jones. I think it would just be great to watch it. Very entertaining.
Yes, entertaining. Winning might not be, but I just don't see. Jerry is the emperor with no clothes, and I can't see him.
Yes, but they've got a great roster, as Don said. They have a great roster. I mean, the thing is, they don't have a running back, which I don't understand. Whatever happened to Delvin Cook? I thought he was on the practice squad, but we never see him. So
there are a couple running backs in this draft, including one that was up for a Heisman. A lot of people say if he hadn't played at Boise State, maybe he would have beat Travis Hunter, but who knows? But Mr. Scott, I know you'll be happy to hear what I'm about to say, because I was looking at this Eagles game, and Jalen Hurts actually accounted for 3 touchdowns. He was 25 of 32. He had 290 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns and ran for 1. But we held Saquon Barkley to 65 yards on 19 carries. 3 weeks ago, we held the Ratbirds, Derrick Henry, to 13 carries on 65 yards. Now, we have to play the Ravens again, and I'm pretty sure that Derrick Henry is going to touch the ball more than 13 times. But the thing that really bothers me is that we got a quarterback, Mr. Hands-on Joey Porter, that has more. He's among the leading cornerbacks getting getting penalties for his handsiness. So I'm very concerned, not about so much the running game, but our secondary. Once again, our secondary is letting us down. Now, we have clinched a spot But once again, it also means that we're going on the road. Now, thankfully, it won't be a matchup like we had last year where we had to go against Buffalo, but we might have to go against either. Right now, it's looking like the Denver Broncos, and I don't know about you guys, but I have Bo Nix down as one of my candidates for Offensive Player of the Year for what he's done over there in Denver. So I'm very afraid of that matchup if we do get paired up against the Broncos. A lot of that will depend upon what happens this week because I believe the Broncos play the Chargers. And considering what the Chargers just losing, that could determine what happens in that division. Of course, everybody is chasing Kansas City, so I'm very concerned about who we play in the playoffs. I see that we are getting possibly some players back up, getting healthy again. Herzog is back, but I'm very concerned about that secondary. It seems like seems like I could play free safety, so I'm very concerned about that.
Well, your fear is with good reason. Your fear is what Your fear is with good reason because your quarterback, the battery is running down. I mean, this is going to be very interesting. Is he going to put the other guy in? I mean, Russell Wilson. It
Well,
looks
we
like
have no Pickens. The Pickens is out again.
well, yeah, but well, now we're getting into excuses. Now we're
No,
getting into excuses. So I mean,
it's no excuse because I really like Austin much better, and I'm surprised that he hasn't used Mike Williams since that first game. That was the only time that you've ever heard that you even heard of Williams. But without Pickens, I think Austin is our guy of the future. I like Austin. I really think he's a good route runner, and for the type of ball that Russell throws, I think he should take more advantage of him. I'm not making any excuses. I just know my team.
your team will make the playoffs, but they're one and done. Okay, your team will make the playoffs. They'll go in and then they'll go out. There won't be a factor at all in this thing. And then I'll win the bet, and it's going to be it's a done deal. I'm ahead now. I'm winning. And so, this is what I do. So, no, they'll make the playoffs, but then they're out. They're not going to beat anybody in the playoffs. I don't see it.
Well, I don't see it with our present roster, but if we get Pickens back, I think we can win one game in the playoffs. Second round, I'm not so sure. Like I said, going up against good quarterbacks, we give up a ton of yardage. So, I am not looking forward to these last 3 games.
I am. I think it's going to be great. These are going to just tell the tale. They'll tell the tale. These last 3 games could be more injuries. You just don't know. And
right.
Then
we play through
calls. They don't make calls, and then the betting now that is part of this thing. I mean, some of these games are very suspect. I tell you, you see some of these calls are very extremely suspect.
Well, let's get into our predictions here. We got a game tomorrow night, as I was saying, with playoff implications. The Chargers. We have the Denver Broncos playing the Chargers. The Broncos are getting 3 points. The over-under is 41.5. I'm going to lead off here. I am going to take the Broncos with the 3 points, and I'm going to take the over. Don.
I'm going to go Broncos in the under.
Mr. Scott.
Yeah, I got to take Denver. And what's the over number?
41.5.
Oh, I'm taking it over.
Okay. Saturday, we got 2 games Saturday. One, Don, the Houston Texans They're getting 3.5 points. They're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and the over-under is 42.
I think Mahomes has said he's going to play, so I'm going to take the Chiefs in the under.
Yeah. Mahomes always says he's going to play. That's I think Mr. Scott calls him peg leg, but I'm going to take the Chiefs, but I'm going to take the over on this. Mr. Scott.
God, it's so hard to go against the one-legged pirate. I mean, it's just, gosh, it's just. But I like Houston. I mean, they're healthy. I mean, I think that and Kansas City should probably lose a game. And I mean, if he get, I'm going to take Houston. I'm definitely going to take them. And I hate to take unders when it's under 40, so I have to take the over. I've got to try them.
Okay, all right. Mr. Scott, the other Saturday game is the Steelers at the Ratbirds this time. The Steelers are getting 6 points, and the over-under is 45.
Well, there's really no need to ask me about that one because I'm taking Baltimore in the under and over. I think I'll take the over. I think I'll try the over.
I'm gonna take those 6 points, and I'm gonna take. I'm going to take the over. I think Derrick Henry gets more than 20 carries this time, but I like the 6 points, and we've proven that we can beat the Ravens wherever we play them. So I'm going to take those 6 points. Not saying I'm going to take the 6 points, and I'm going to take the over. Don.
I'm going to take the Steelers in the under.
Okay. Don, let's see. Sunday's games, we had the Eagles at the Commanders. The Commanders are actually getting 3 points, even though they're the home team. And Don, the over-under is 45.5.
I'm going to go Eagles in the over.
Mr. Scott?
Well, this is almost kind of like Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City is 13-1. They can afford to lose a game. I mean, they're still going to be. It's not going to hurt them. That's the same with Philly. The Commanders. I like upsets this time of year. I mean, I really do. And the young quarterback with Washington. Even though I like Philly, but I'm going to take the points.
Okay. Over under?
Let's see. What is it?
45.5.
I'll take the under.
Okay. I'm going to take Philly and the over. Mr. Scott. Don.
I thought I gave it to you, didn't I?
Oh, did you give me that? Oh, yeah, that's right. You did take the Philly. Okay, Don, the Lions are giving the Chicago Bears 6.5. The game is at Chicago, and the over-under is 48.
I don't care how many injuries the Lions had. They're still better in Chicago, so I'll go Detroit and the over.
I'm going to take Detroit, and let's see. No David Montgomery, but I do like Jameson Williams to pick up the slack. And Gibbs, I think he's a lot more durable than people think. So I'm going to take Detroit and the over. Mr. Scott. Detroit against Chicago.
Yeah, it's hard to take Chicago. I mean, after that performance last week, I don't know about that quarterback at all. So I guess I got to take Detroit, and I'm reticent to take it, but because the point number is going down and the under and over is going up. So I'll take Chicago in the points. I mean, I'll take points, and then I'll take it. I'll take it over.
All righty. Mr. Scott, we have the Clowns against the Bungles. They're playing in Cincinnati. Cleveland is getting 7.5 points, and the over-under is 47.
So
and don't forget, Jameis Winston is benched. He's
okay. So the cross-eyed gunslinger is benched.
He's gone.
Well, in reality, the game is off the board, but I'll take Cincinnati and the under.
I'll take Cincinnati and the over. I think this might be a week when Jamar Chase just goes off the hook, and there might be a good game, a good game from a Brown to the running back for Cincinnati. So I'm going to take Cincinnati, and I'm going to take the under. I don't know whether Cleveland can score with this guy. They only have one weapon as it is, Jerry Jeudy. I think Najigba is still out, the tight end. Don, did I get you for this one?
No, I'll take Cincy in the under.
Okie doke. Don, we have the Rams visiting Ayahuasca. The Jets came off, they had a win last week, but the Rams are also playing for their playoff lives here. They need to win out pretty much. The Rams are getting 3.5 points, and the over-under is 46.
So I'll take the Rams in the under.
I'll take the Rams and the over. Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I'll take the Rams in the over.
Okay. Mr. Scott, we have the Giants visiting the Falcons. As you heard, Kurt is benched. So the Giants are getting 8.5 points. I said 8.5 points. And the over-under is 42.
Yeah, this is one of these trap games. I mean, it started off Atlanta 10.5. And now, so what is it, 8.5?
Yeah, now they're giving the Giants 8.5.
Yeah, I'll take the Giants. They're an intact team. I have no idea about Michael Penix. I don't really know what the deal is. And the Giants Atlanta didn't score last week, so I'm going to take it under.
But Don, Bijan.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts here?
I'm going to take Atlanta in the over.
I am going to take the Giants and the under. Cardinals and the Panthers. The Panthers have been showing some signs of life here. They can't win any playoff spots, but they have been showing signs of life. They're playing at home. They're giving the Smurf 4.5 points, and the over-under is 47. I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers and the under here. Mr. Scott.
Guys, I'm going to take the little man. I'm going to take the little man And he's very dangerous, and they're still in the mix for this thing. They're still in the mix, so I'm going to take them and the over.
Okay, Mr. Scott. I mean, Don.
I'm going to take the Cardinals in the under.
Okay, Don, the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis is back at quarterback again. The Tennessee Titans are getting 3.5 points. They're playing the Indianapolis Colts, and the over/under is 42.5. Don?
I'll take the Titans in the under.
I will take the Colts in the under. Mr. Scott?
Let me see. Tennessee. Yeah, they don't have any. I'll take the Colts in the under, too.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Scott, you are on the road. You're playing the Seahawks. The Seahawks are giving you 3 points, and the over/under is 43.5.
Yeah, that's kind of gone up because Geno's supposed to play, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's gone up a few points, but I'll take the Vikings in the over.
Okay. Don?
I'll take the Vikings in the over as well.
I think this is a trap game. I'm going to take the Seahawks and the under.
See, that's another biased pick. That's another very biased pick. I mean,
no, that's not a biased pick because the Seahawks are definitely better at home, and the Vikings are not a good road team. I think this is one of the few teams that have a winning record, and the Seahawks actually have something to play for. If they lose, they're pretty much out. So, they're playing for their playoff lives. Mr. Scott, we have the New England Patriots. And Mr. Scott, they're getting 14. That's right, 14. 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points. The over/under is 46.5, and they're playing the Buffalo Bills.
In Buffalo. Yeah, I'll take Buffalo. I mean, yeah, I'll give up the points, and it'll be under.
Yeah, this might be another snowball. The fans having to travel out their seats again. I'm going to take Buffalo, but I'm going to take the under. Don?
I'm going to take Buffalo in the over, and I'm going to say that the over/under 7 inches of snow. I'm going to say under 7 inches of snow.
Okay.
Hey, I'm sure there's a book in Vegas that will take that bet. So.
I'm sure there is. The MGM Grand.
The snow line. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Don, here's one for you. We had the 49ers visiting the Miami Dolphins. The 49ers are getting 1 point, and the over/under is 44.5.
I like the 49ers, but I'm going to go Miami with the under.
I don't know about the secondary. I don't know who's going to be the running back for the 49ers. Is Debo going to catch a pass? Is it going to be Jennings? Is it going to be Pearsall? The only thing I know is that they have no Christian McCaffrey, and Purdy is struggling with these new targets. I'm going to take the Dolphins, but I'm going to take the under here. Did I get you, Mr. Scott?
No, they're they're both playing out the string. They both had high hopes beginning of the year, and they're just playing out the string now. I mean, it's basically in reality, it's off the board. But since Miami's at home, I'll take them in the over.
Speaking of off the board, Mr. Scott, We got the Jaguars at the Raiders. The Jaguars are getting 1 point. The over-under is 40.
I'll take Vegas because they're at home. 40.5. I'll take that over.
Not just 40, not 40.5. Who you got, Don?
I'll take the Jags in the under.
Okay, I'll take the Raiders in the under. Don, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing at Dallas. Dallas is giving the Buccaneers 4 points, and the over-under is 48.5.
I'm gonna go Tampa Bay in the under.
Ooh, what do you got there?
No, I said I heard myself say that, and I myself, but yeah.
Okay, what do you got there, Mr. Scott? I got to think after that one.
It's a surprise type of thing. I mean, Tampa Bay is still got something to play for. It's a Tampa
Bay can win the division. They're already one game ahead of the Falcons.
Yeah, they could. I got to take Tampa Bay in the under.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tampa Bay also, but I think I'm going to take Tampa Bay in the over. Mr. Scott, we have our Monday night game here. Let's see, it's not a double Monday night, but our next, let's see. Okay, so our Monday night game is the Saints. Mr. Scott getting 14. They're playing the Green Bay Packers, and the over-under is 42.5.
I got to take Green Bay in the over.
Who you got, Don?
Is it in New Orleans or?
No, it's in Green Bay.
Ooh, the frozen tundra. Oh,
yes,
okay.
Sir.
I'll go Green Bay in the over.
Yeah, I don't see New Orleans traveling well, a dome team. Whether it's, you talk about snow in Buffalo, it doesn't have to have snow in Green Bay. It can just be cold as hell.
It's just ice.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Packers and the under. Christmas Day. Mr. Scott, Kansas City at Pittsburgh. Kansas City is giving the Bird 2.5 points. The over-under is 42.5.
Oh, I don't even know if the Pirate needs to play in that game. Gosh, Kansas City hasn't been scoring a lot of points. Well, I'm going to take Kansas City in the over.
I'm going to actually take Kansas City in the under. Don?
Kansas City in the over.
And the second game on Christmas Day, we have the Ravens at the Texans. The Ravens are getting 2.5 points, and the over-under is 47.5. Don?
I'll go Ravens in the over.
Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I got to take the Ravens too in the over.
I have to take the Ravens and the over also. Let's see. The day after Christmas, we have the Seahawks at the Bears. The Seahawks are actually giving the Bears 1.5 points, and the over-under is 40.5. I'm going to take the Seahawks here once again. I think I'm going to take the over 40. I think the Bears can score at least two touchdowns. So I'm going to take the over here, but I'm going to take the Seahawks. Mr. Scott.
Yeah, Bears are through. So, I mean, I'm going to take the Seahawks. It might go over. There might be a few points in the game.
What do you got there, Don?
I go Seahawks in the over.
Okay, next Saturday we have the Chargers and the Patriots. Of course, everybody knows that there will not be a Sports Krib on Christmas Day. So we're going to go through these, and we can get Dave to sort them out later. So the Saturday game, let's see. We have the Chargers at the Patriots. The Chargers are giving the Patriots 5.5. The over-under is 41.5. I'm going to take the Chargers and the over. Don.
I go Chargers in the under.
Mr. Scott.
Yeah, I'll take the Chargers in the over.
Okay. By the way, these are Saturday games, not Sunday. So this is a Saturday. Don, we have the Broncos visiting the Bengals. They're giving the Bengals 3, and the over-under is 47.5.
I go Broncos in the under.
Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I'll take Denver in the under also.
I'll take Denver and, the under. They're playing in Cincinnati. Okay, the 5 o'clock game on Saturday, we have the Magnificent Midget against the LA Rams. This is a division game. The Cardinals are giving the Rams 3 points, and the over-under is 49.5. Mr. Scott.
Where is it?
It's in L.A.
Gee, what? God, it's hard to see on projecting that one because if the Rams, they might have it almost wrapped up by then.
Or the Cardinals could have it wrapped up by then.
Yeah, it's pretty tight. So I'm going to stick with the little man. I just, I don't know what it is. I'm going to stick with the little man, even though I think the Rams are still quality. They got Puka and they got their guys back. But I'm going to take Rams in the over. Arizona in the over.
Okay. Don.
I go Rams in the over.
I'm going to go, you got one each here, huh? I think I'm going to go with Mr. Scott here. I'm going to take the Cardinals, but I think I'm going to take the over. 50 points between them. I don't see the defense really being able to stop anybody. 50 points, 25 each. I'm going to take the over there. Mr. Scott, we have another big one here. We have the Jets playing the Bills. The Jets are getting 9.5 points, and the over-under is 49. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to give the points, but I think this is going to be an under. This is another game that I think will be played in the cold. So I'm going to take the under, but I'm going to take the Bills, and I'll give the points. What do you say there, Mr. Scott?
I'm going to take the Bills in the under.
Don.
What are Bills in the over?
Okay, Don, we have the Carolina Panthers giving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, getting 9.5 points from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The over-under is 48. I'm going to take those points, and I'm going to take the over. Don.
I'll take Tampa in the under.
Mr. Scott.
I'll take Tampa in the over.
Okay. Mr. Scott, this is a Sunday game at 1 o'clock. We had the Green Bay Packers visiting the Minnesota Vikings. The Green Bay Packers are getting 2 points, and the over-under is 48.5.
Well, I'll take the Vikings in the over.
You sure the Vikings won't be sitting some of their players if they've clinched? Or do you think that this is a must-win for the Vikings?
Well, you can't clinch at that point. I don't think the clinching will only happen at the last game against Detroit. I mean, for who gets the number 1 seed. I don't know that. I think both teams are gonna need this game. So
okay,
it's how tight it is. The best division in football. The best division in football by far.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You might be the only division that gets 3 teams in.
Yeah, best division.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the Vikings, and I'm going to take the over. Don.
I'll go Minnesota in the over.
Okay. He gave you the whole accent and everything. Okay, so
Skull.
We have the Indianapolis Colts getting 6.5. Giving 6.5 to the Giants. The over/under is 39.5. I am going to take Anthony Richardson, Taylor. I'm going to take the Colts, but I'm going to take the under here. Don.
I'll go Colts in the under as well.
Mr. Scott.
I'll take the Colts. I'll try the over. It's a low number.
Okay. Mr. Scott, we have the Raiders getting 3 points. They're playing at the Saints. The Aints, sorry. And the over-under is 40.5. I'm going to take Noah David Carr. Andrew Pierce might be playing for his coaching life, but I think they have enough to beat the Aints. I'm going to take the Raiders, and I'm going to take the under. Did I get you, Mr. Scott?
No, this one is another, off the board thing. I'll take the. I can't take the Saints, but I'll take the under.
Don?
I can't take the Saints either, but I'll go over.
Okay. Don, we had the Titans at the Jaguars. The Titans are getting 1 point.
Getting worse.
And the over-under is 39.5. I'm going to take the under and the Titans.
Yeah, I'm on Titans under also.
Mr. Scott?
I'll take the Titans and the over. I think they probably just want to get some
Mr. Scott, we have the Dolphins visiting the Browns. The Clowns are giving the Dolphins 3.5 points, and the over-under is 41.5.
Well, I don't know if either team cares, but I'll take Miami in the over.
Yeah, I will take Miami and the under. Don?
I'll go Miami in the over.
Okay. Don, we have the Cowboys getting 11.5 points. The over-under is 44.5, and they're playing the Eagles.
I'll go Eagles in the over.
I'll go Eagles in the
over.
What do you say there, Mr. Scott?
Yeah, Eagles over.
Okay, and we have Mr. Scott. We have the Atlanta Falcons getting 5 points from the Washington Commanders. The over-under is 47.
I'll take the Commanders and the under.
I will take the Commanders and the under also if Penix is still playing. According to Atlanta, Penix is supposed to finish out the rest of the year. I think the Washington and I think they're a little too much for the Falcons and Penix. So I'm going to take the Commanders, and I'm going to take 47. I'm going to take the under on that one. And our last game, we have the Detroit Lions visiting the 49ers. Detroit is getting 3 points. What? And the over-under is 51.5.
Good Lord. That's crazy.
It is. Why would Detroit be getting points?
Well, they're playing at the 49ers, so the 49ers are getting the home field advantage. But the 51.5 points might be of a little concern. I'm going to take Detroit in this one, but I don't know if either one of them can put up that many points, considering the people that the offensive weapons that they're without. I'm going to take Detroit in the under. Yeah.
I'll go Detroit in the under as well. That 50, anything over 50 is crazy.
Mr. Scott?
You know, this is weird because something can still fall into place for San Francisco. I mean, if they can win this week and Seattle
win next week,
lose,
and win next week,
I mean, something could. This is really kind of. I'm going to take San Francisco, and I'm going to take the over. I know those 51s are crazy, but I took the Lions, and I think it was 54, and it went over. So these guys know what they're doing with these points. I mean, they set these points. They know what they're doing, you know.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about that. That's the reason. That's the reason why we're on this side trying to figure it out. So, Mr. Scott, you say you're taking the 49ers and the over?
Yeah. Okay. Sure am.
Okay. Don, final thoughts, my man. Good having you back.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed the little e-card from all of the guys.
I did. I replied to it, but I don't know if I got it or not. But yeah, I appreciate the thoughts and prayers. And let me tell you, pneumonia will kick your ass, and it did mine. But I'm fully recovered, back at work, getting these kids ready for the Christmas break. So yeah. So my final thoughts. So I was doing some scrolling through Facebook, and I always look at these little videos I get, and I had one from Netflix. Netflix has a documentary about our boy Aaron Rodgers coming out, 3 parts.
Yes, Enigma, right?
So, and I know there's a lot of misinformation. It's not that I don't like Aaron Rodgers. I just think he's a weirdo. He's a weirdo. But this documentary is supposed to explain why he's a weirdo, and so I'm gonna be kind of curious about that. And then there's another documentary coming out in the summer about the first year of Texas and Oklahoma being the SEC, which I'm gonna definitely watch that. And Saturday, me and the girlfriend will be in Austin watching UT Clemson. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be the first playoff game I've witnessed. So that's my final thoughts. Like I said, I appreciate it.
Don, after you put the ringer on the finger, it's a fiance.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's that's gonna be coming up pretty soon.
All right, man. Well, hey, good having you, Don. We appreciate your time, and let's see what Mr. Scott has to say for his final thoughts.
Only final thoughts I have now is why am I here still in Minnesota? I mean, now it's supposed to be a big snowstorm tonight, and it's, I mean, last year it was really weird because I never shoveled one day. There was not enough snow to even shovel, but now, I mean, I can remember as a kid going to school, and it was mountains of snow. I mean, you couldn't even see the street when you're trying to get through all this. So that's my thing. Is why am I here? So I'm trying to figure out where else I want to go south, because this is just not working anymore. I mean, this is just not working.
Well, you know what? Tomorrow our high is supposed to be 61, sunny. So if you ever want to move to San Antonio, Texas, you should think about it.
That's a place too. I've got to come and visit. I haven't been there. I've been to Houston. I didn't care that much for that. Dallas, a little bit too big, but maybe San Antonio might be one. San Diego a little bit too expensive. I'm not high on the hog like James King. I don't have the real.
Oh yeah.
The bank is not quite that big, but
the thing of it is, my bank can't. I'm stuck. I can't go any further south, and I'm like you, Mr. Scott. I can't stand that snow, so I can't go back east. I can't come your way now. But I did like San Antonio. The Riverwalk is nice. You got you can always go and watch the Spurs. If you want to watch a winning team. So
and actually, the chief of police in San Antonio was here.
Yeah, that's right.
Great chief. Yeah. Oh, he was getting ready to turn this thing around, and finally said, "You guys, this thing is so far gone. I'm out of here." And he went down to San Antonio. As far as I know, I think he's still there.
Yeah,
McManus.
Yeah.
I know he's in Minnesota. I know that.
Oh yeah, he was here. He was turning it around.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, good talking with everybody as usual. Like I said, we won't have a Christmas show. We'll be on the week after that. Wish everyone a safe and happy holidays. Remember that the holiday is about family and relationships. So have a safe and wonderful holiday, and we'll see everyone after Christmas. And you guys, hey, Merry Christmas, and as I said, have a safe holiday. Appreciate it.
Yeah, same to you and your families.
Yeah. Mr. Scott, get back to me about that show. I sent you a little email.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah. When is it?
Whenever we can make a time to, that you and your brother and whoever else we pick have a time, we can discuss, a time that's mutual for all of us.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be talking to my brother because there's a lot of stuff going on with, the George Floyd stuff is still rumbling around, and talk about Chauvin